Welcome back to FaceOff, everybody, and we're going to start this segment with an NBA preview. We're going to start with you, Kyle. In the Eastern Conference, who would you say is your favorite to win the East this year?
I'm never a front runner unless it's the NBA. And my boy LeBron James and his Miami Heat, I'm going to pick them this year, next year, and probably the year afterwards too. I love the Heat. I love what they do. They're so fast-paced, and they really just give teams a problem. So I'm taking the Heat for a third straight year in the East.
Derek?
I'm going to go with the Bulls just to be combative. I honestly don't like the Heat, so we're on two completely opposite sides here. I wanted the Spurs to win so badly last year that it actually hurt when they lost. But, I mean, the Bulls, they have Derrick Rose, their all-star. It's a good team consistently over the past couple of years. And they also snapped the Heat's 27-game winning streak last year. Of course, they went on to lose 4-1 in the conference semifinals to the Heat, who went on to win the entire thing. But I think there's going to be vengeance, and there's going to be some rematches.
Now, I'm not going to give up on the Heat just yet, per se. I know a lot of people are saying this is the year they fall back. I'm with you. I do like LeBron and the Heat. I think that they're still easily that team to beat. But my favorites this year is the Indiana Pacers. I think that's a team that's just no really star guys, really big star guys. But together as a team, they get the job done, and they threatened the Heat last year.
Yeah,
they did.
More so than the Bulls, even though they were without Rose.
No, that was a good series.
It was a great series. And that's why I think this team, I'm gonna say I think they win the East this year. Okay. I think they are a legitimate chance to win the entire thing.
Any pick but Miami is welcome.
I'm not against Miami just yet.
I don't see the Pacers winning the East, but I could definitely see them up there contending for it.
And now we're going to move to the Western Conference here and see who plays the Pacers in the NBA Finals. And Derek, we're going to start with you on this one. Who's your favorite in the West?
It's interesting because it harkens back to the first episode I think that we did this season. I'm going to go with Oklahoma. I'm going to go with them just because if Durant can hold that team together, I mean, there's other pieces, but he's the big star.
Yeah.
If he can hold it together until Westbrook gets back, I honestly believe that team could make a huge push to get through and be that team. That being said, also, you can't count out the Spurs. Anytime that you have Tim Duncan and Tony Parker on one team, you're set. Add Ginobili to it, who became a postseason hero for them. It's pretty night and day.
All right, Kyle?
Yeah. I like the last thing, what Derek said there. I know we don't agree much, and that's usually on purpose.
Yeah.
But I like the Spurs a lot in the West. I hate to pick, the full-on rematch of last year's finals, but I think the Spurs have something really good going on out West.
Now, I was thinking Oklahoma City. I was contemplating that because I'm a big Durant fan. I think that's a team. I think they have a legit chance this year. I think the Spurs are going to fall back a bit. I know age is kind of getting on them now. I think last year was their real big chance to get it done. With 30 seconds left, up by 6, they blew it. So I don't think they rebound from that completely this year. I'm going to take another kind of surprise here and go with a team like Indiana, who doesn't have a real star, but together gets the job done. And they went 56-26 last year. The Memphis Grizzlies. I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to surprise some people this year. They were 4th in the West last year. I think that is a team that really is just going to surprise you. I really do.
Well, you like to pick the Cinderella picks, too.
I do.
I mean, you picked
I
the
picked
A's.
Oakland, didn't I?
Yeah, you picked the A's, and you picked the Pirates.
They look good, man.
I'm
not getting into this
I'm
with you.
not going to front. I picked the Braves, and they were worse than both of those
That was the worst
teams.
team so far.
So, I mean, I thought I was safe. I wasn't.
Speaking of the World Series, that's what we're going to go to now.
Perfect.
Red Sox and Cardinals in the World Series. Kyle, we're going to start with you on this. I want your pick, how many games they're going to win in, and then I want your series MVP.
All right. Now, my picks haven't been great so far this year. I think I've got one game pick, and then Nick Foles fell apart on me. All my MLB predictions went out, so I'm going to try and redeem myself here. I'm taking the Boston Red Sox in 6 games.
Okay.
I really like what they're doing. Huge momentum swing at the end of that series with Detroit. And as my MVP, I'm going with starting pitcher for Game 1, John Lester. Okay. I think if anybody's going to get it done, it's going to be him, and they're going to ride that game through. I think they win Game 1, and that's going to be the defining moment for them.
Derek, who you got?
Total opposite. St. Louis Cardinals are going to win, and they're going to win in 6. And honestly, all of baseball is going to hang their head in shame because the St. Louis farm team beat them again for the World Series crown. It's going to be Carlos Beltran for your MVP, and I say that just statistically, like I said, I'm the stat guy. But I mean, this guy is one of the best postseason players, arguably of all time. We're talking about somebody who is first in runs scored in a single series. He had 21 runs scored in 2004 in the series. He also is 7th highest of all time in slugging percentage, 724 in a World Series. And he's tied with players like Bonds, Cruz for first for home runs. 8 home runs in a single World Series. So, I mean, it's hard to argue against him. But it'll be the Cardinals pitching that outclasses the burly lumberjack players of Boston.
See, I don't think so. They stood up really well against the Detroit rotation. I think they can do the same thing.
Here's where I counteract that here. I'm going to go with the Cardinals as well. I'm going to go with how the fact that money doesn't buy you championships all the time. They're going to win their third in, I think,
Dodgers.
6 years or so, something like that. So I'm going to pick the Cardinals in 6. And the reason I say this is because the Red Sox, although very impressive against Detroit, that pitching rotation had them down a lot. And the Red Sox only won that series off a couple of just big, like one swing of the bat. Win the series. Now, granted, 2 grand slams, I was very impressed. But they kind of at the skin of their teeth won that series. So you're now going against another very good pitching rotation in St. Louis. Michael Wacha, who I'm going to pick as my series MVP. I think he's going to start about 2 games probably, and he's going to do just what he's been doing. He's got almost no hitters in like each of his last few outings.
He's been very impressive.
He's been very impressive. I think he's going to shut down Boston again. Now, I know you can't give up on them because they could be up 6-1. The Red Sox can get right back into it.
Oh, but they're Boston strong.
No, I'm not getting into that. But I think Cardinals in 6, and Wacha gets the MVP.
I think they stand up better than you guys think. Momentum plays a much bigger factor in baseball than
Well, they're there. They're in the big dance, so obviously I'm not going to knock them too much.
Just knocked off the Dodgers. They were the hottest team coming in.
Not as much as a Big Poppy Grand Slam, though.
We'll see. I'm still going to say Cardinals in this. And we're going to stick with baseball. We're going to talk about the team that Boston just knocked off, the Detroit Tigers. Jim Leland not coming back to coach the Tigers next season. Derek, I feel like this is something you would enjoy talking about. I feel like you have a lot to say, so we'll start with you.
I'm actually not going to enjoy talking about it because I'm sad. It makes me sad. Just because, I mean, here's a great manager, a figurehead of the sport, leaving his team that he had a very impressive record with. He was 705-97 with the Tigers. So, I mean, he's done great things with them. In 8 years of being there, he almost led them to 3 pennants. Didn't win them, but he led them to 2 officially. I would have loved to have seen him get another ring, just because he hasn't won since '97 with the Marlins. Granted, great team, great story, but I don't know. I think the best thing I can say about Jim Leland is he left characteristically with grace.
Yeah.
He was a great sport about it. I have the direct quote from him. I'm 69, my fuel tank's running low, but thank you everyone for having me here. He was just a great class act.
Yeah. I mean, he left the way you really should. He waited till the series was over. He didn't really hint to it beforehand. He just knew what he was going to do. Other than that, I'm not really upset about it. Call me cold, but I don't have much of an attachment to MLB managers. They don't do much. You put together a lineup, handle the bullpen, and other than that, it's up to the team.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
I don't think Detroit's going to suffer or anything. It's great. You know, he had a great resume with them. Other than that, I've moved on day 2.
I don't have any ties to Detroit. The only thing that disappoints me is the fact that with this Tigers team, Miguel Cabrera, and everything that he's built there, I think, how does he not win a World Series, honestly? That was my whole thing. But, again, he left the right way. He's just an all-around class act guy. I'm a little surprised. Even though he's getting older, I still thought he had, enough to, let's go for one more ring, guys. He's got the team to do it for a few years now.
And it makes sense.
So I'm surprised at that. But
just because, baseball managers hang around until they're, like, dead.
Yeah.
So,
Davey Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
They'll hang around until they're, like, 87.
Yeah. So that's
They'll
why
die in the dugout.
I was very surprised by this. But in the end, I don't think it affects, like you said, the Tigers very much. I think they'll still be fine.
A classy guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when we come back, we're going to have our game pick of the week between these two, a rematch of Week 5, Eagles-Giants, and also final thoughts and game ball. So stay tuned here on Face Off.